Hello, I'm John Rossi, a touring drummer with a love of all things animal. When I'm on the road, I visit as many zoos, aquariums... Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Hey, what's going on there? Hello? 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 We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you Rossifari Zoo news. News you can use from the world of zoos and conservation. Every week, we bring you breaking news and analysis from around the globe, featuring the animals you love and the people who care for them. And here's your anchorman, John Rossi. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Rossifari Zoo News, your look at everything going on in the world of zoos, aquariums, conservation, and general animal weirdness. This is a crowd-sourced zoo news program, so make sure that you tag me in any zoo news stories that you see out there at Rossifari on the socials, at Rossifari Pod on the TikTok machine. And if you do, I'll say your name and thanks at the end of the episode. Exciting stuff. So yeah, this has been one of those crazy weeks that are kind of normal for me. The week started in Texas, playing some gigs around the McAllen area and spending a few days at Gladys Porter Zoo. You'll actually hear more about a cool thing I got to participate in there during one of the headline stories this week. Then I took a quick trip to Dallas before heading back to Harrisburg to work on a production of $1 Million Quartet that's going on there. I'm not playing it, just kind of overseeing it, and it's been a unique experience. I actually think this production might be cursed because of the number of injuries and sicknesses and such that we've had. If there is a final destination version of $1 Million Quartet, this might be it. And to say that it's been crazy would be a bit of the understatement of the century. But the show must go on and all that jazz. And so, we got some great people, and I think it's all going to come together nicely. Then after that, I'm going to spend some time with Miles before heading back to Buffalo. I get a little time off there before heading back out on the road, going to Phoenix with my own show, and then heading to New England for a few weeks to play waitress at Northern Stage. It should be a good couple of months. Quick update on the patron packages. They have shipped now, and so that's exciting news. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you are a patron, especially a Binturong or Red Panda level patron, you are able to get a free sticker every month from Cappy Trails. So make sure you sign up for that at patreon.com/Rossifari. And that actually reminds me that I need to welcome yet another new patron to the family. Not Ali Malensky, but Kay Malensky, meaning we now have both of the Malenskys. Oh, that was so much fun. I'm so glad that Kay has signed up and joined the Patreon family, and I'd like to remind you all that you can support the pod by going to patreon.com/Rossifari. And that's not our only new patron. I haven't been able to get the full information for this new person, but we do have a new patron at the Red Panda level, and I just have to explain to you all that while I'll do an official intro once we chat more, the username that this person chose is also here for the stickers. Big sigh. Between Sam last week and this new patron this week, I'm starting to think I should stop the podcast and just start my own sticker company. No, I'm kidding, and I'm excited for the new patrons. You can be one too, just saying. So, okay, with all of that said, this week is going to be a slightly different episode from the norm. We've got two stories from this week that I think are super important, so we are going to dive right into those. One is kind of fun and frivolous, but awesome, and one is actually super serious. We're going to start with that one. Both of these feature special guests, and they are going to take up a lot of time in this episode, so I'm going to get right to those. And then since they are going to take up lots of time, if you sent me stories this week that you don't hear here, that's funny. Anyway, those stories are still in contention for next week's episode, and I'll still say your name at the end and all that good stuff. So, all right, with all of that said, let's get to it. All right. So for this first story, there was an email that came out from the AZA this week and some controversy that surrounded it. And this pertains to the DEI initiatives that the federal government is working so hard to dismantle right now. So I'm going to start off and just read you the entire email. It's lengthy, but I want to give it to you for context. The heading was a message from Dan Ashe, AZA. And it says, "Hello, everyone. I'm sending this message as a colleague and friend, as AZA president and CEO, and with consent from the AZA board of directors. The past few weeks have been full of fast-paced change, which for many has been challenging, difficult, or disappointing. Many are experiencing real and immediate personal, professional, and emotional effects, and especially those who have worked to support the values reflected in the AZA strategic plan, through words like diversity, equity, access, and inclusion. Your work has made us and our community better, and it and you are appreciated. Our next steps must be full of concern and empathy for colleagues, informed by clarity of thought and fulsome conversation, and fueled by determination for mission." Dr. Lonnie Bunch, Smithsonian Secretary and leader in envisioning and building the National Museum of African American History and Culture, said this in announcing the closure of the Smithsonian Institution's Office of Diversity. "We will continue to use every tool at our disposal to find and nurture excellence in our workforce. We will continue to expect and demand that our workplace is free from discrimination and harassment, and we will adhere to our long-held principles of fairness and equality. We have long told the stories and embraced the experiences of all Americans, and we will keep doing so in line with our mission." Dr. Bunch's words call us back to mission. Moving forward, in addition to caring for one another, we intend to focus on mission, how we can best position ourselves to continue and support our work. Not where we are today, but where we want to be tomorrow. Better in caring for staff and animals. Better in providing engaging experiences for guests. Better in conserving wildlife and wild places. More understanding, empathetic, and compassionate. Presenting all people with a greater equality of opportunity and an expanded sense of belonging. In the coming months, we will be exploring and working to accomplish these things. Please join us at mid-year meeting in Palm Desert, California, and at annual conference in Tampa, Florida, and in dozens of conversations that will occur before, between, and after these meetings. All are welcome, and we will be honored by your presence and enriched by your contributions. That last sentence was bolded. Together, we are AZA, and it is in our nature to celebrate life in all its beauty and diversity. That is unchanging. In the meantime, we are carefully considering the evolving social and operating environment and positioning our community for continued progress without needlessly exposing fellow accredited facilities and members to political hostility and financial impacts. Immediately, we are taking these steps. The board is instructing the Accreditation Commission to suspend enforcement of Standard 7.9, Diversity, Equity, Access, and Inclusion, allowing us the space and grace to consider next steps without jeopardizing any member's accreditation status. We have formed a small working group of members of the Accreditation Commission, Diversity Committee, and AZA staff tasked with reviewing Standard 7.9 and making recommendations to the board for its prompt consideration. We are encouraging open dialogue within and between AZA committees and networks and looking forward to robust discussions during the Diversity Summit at mid-year meeting. Thank you, and we hope to see you soon in Palm Desert and this September in Tampa, where all will be welcome, safe, and respected. Very best, Dan Ashe, President and CEO, Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And that email came out, and instantly there was a lot of concern. I heard from a lot of zookeepers and got into some discussions with some of them because they were concerned that maybe the AZA was stepping away from their commitment to diversity and equity and inclusion and all of those great things, DEI or DEIA or whatever people want to call it. And that was not the vibe that I got from the email. But it was a carefully worded email, which, given the political climate right now, does make a lot of sense to me. And so rather than speculate on what it meant myself, I reached out to the AZA for comment. And here is a quick interview with Dan Ashe, the president and CEO of the AZA, to discuss what this email means and his feelings on the topic of DEI. So enjoy. All right. Hey, Dan, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. You sent out an email yesterday that has maybe caused a little concern, or maybe a better way to put it is has stoked the fires that have already been there of concern in the last couple of weeks. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about diversity, equity, inclusion in the AZA. And so would you tell me kind of what went into that email yesterday?
Yeah, I think first, John, it's the email was sent out to give our membership a sense for where we are right now, because, like you said, there has been a lot going on in the world around diversity, equity, access, and inclusion, and it didn't just start 2 weeks ago. This has been for the last year or more, really, where these conversations have been going on, and so what we wanted to do was really kind of let people know that we're with regard to standard 7.9, we're taking a time out basically to give us a chance and the space and the grace to have a conversation about how we continue the work going forward, given all of the social clamor that's going on around the acronym DEAI or DEI or DEIA, and so what's most important to us is continuing the work and the progress, not what we call the work. And we are recognizing that some of our members are being put in very difficult positions because our accreditation standard says you have to have a DEAI program. So some of our members are being put in difficult position, not because of the work that they're doing, but because of what our standard requires them to call the work. And so we're taking a little bit of a timeout, and the board directed the Accreditation Commission to not enforce the standard until we can have that conversation. We've reached out to our diversity committee, our HR committee, and others so that we can bring a lot of people into that conversation. But I'd point people to the words in my note that say your work has made us better. We believe that, we continue to believe that, and we're going to continue to support that work that's making us better.
That's perfect. And, I know that many zoos, obviously, like the Smithsonian's National Zoo, is federally funded, but also there are states that fund zoos but get that money from the federal government, and also even other zoos that just get federal grant money. So this can be very far-reaching, right?
Oh, it's extremely far-reaching. I mean, we have nonprofit zoos that have a public governing board, right? Or nonprofit zoos that get operating assistance from their local governments. And so we can't blame this all on the federal government. I mean, this is a larger social dialogue and debate that's going on. And so we need to take some time to think about what's the best posture for our community so that we can continue to support the work. And what I would tell people also a little bit to focus on is the practical effect. We have 32 facilities that are up for accreditation in March. 25 of those are fully compliant with our DEAI standard. For 7 of those facilities, DEAI has been mentioned as a minor concern. So that means they're compliant with the DEAI standard, but they have minor concerns. So suspending the standard is the practical effect of that is to, again, give that little bit of space and grace so that we can have a larger conversation. And I'd also point out to people that we are having our mid-year meeting is in Palm Desert in about little less than 2 months now. And we have a diversity summit where we expect these issues and related issues to be kind of fully discussed and debated. So the notion that somehow AZA is backing away from this is as far from the truth as it could be. Yeah,
that's perfect. And I think from what I saw and from the people that reached out to me, no one felt that was necessarily the case. There was just concern. So I think,
Sure.
Thank you for taking the time to come on here and reaffirm your commitment to that.
I understand the concern. There's a lot going on in the world right now that is concerning. And so I understand why people might read into this something that's not there. So I appreciate, John, the opportunity. I thank you for asking the question and appreciate the opportunity to come on and clarify that. So,
yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, guys. I really appreciate it.
thank you, John. All right, bye-bye.
There you have it, straight from Dan's mouth. The looking at these issues is going to continue at mid-year and in conversations beyond that. And hopefully, the AZA will be able to find a path through this for all of their members where they are able to stay accredited without losing funding or anything else that is currently kind of being threatened in our society at large and in our federal government in particular. So that was our big heavy story for the week, but we also have a big but lighter and kind of lovable story for the week. So now we're gonna get into that one. All right, so this week I got to experience something really cool at Gladys Porter Zoo. Two members of the Valley Symphony Orchestra, Linda and Raquel, who you are currently hearing underneath this story, visited the zoo to play piano and violin for the animals, and I got to not only watch and record lots of it, but actually also got to play sound engineer and roadie for them. It worked out super well that I was there because the musicians weren't super familiar with the sound system they had to use, so I was able to put my audio engineering skills to the test at a zoo. It was a fun combination of my two strongest passions, music and animals, and it definitely felt like I was in the right place at the right time. And honestly, it was just such an honor to be able to help. The animals themselves all had different reactions to the music overall and to different composers or styles in general. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but actually I talked to the ladies for a few moments, and so I wanted to share that with y'all. All right, so start off, who are y'all?
Hi, my name is Linda Chavez. I am the pianist for the Valley Symphony Orchestra, and I'm also the owner of Brownsville Piano Studio.
Hi, I'm Raquel Gomez. I'm a violin player. I work with Linda, and I play violin for a living.
Yeah, you do. And you've been here at Gladys Porter Zoo today playing for a bunch of the animals. So first of all, we'll talk about the actual experiences in a minute. But what was that like for y'all, like internally in your hearts?
I think for me it was really special because you always hear about music being a universal language, right? And then actually coming out here and proving that and seeing how sensitive the animals are to the instrument, to the different composers that we play, seeing them sing along or seeing them just like get really close by. It's something that I had never experienced before. I didn't know what to expect. I think we both just came out here with our instrument and we're like, okay, let's do this. So it was really, really moving and really special. I'm really happy that we got to do this.
Nice, awesome. Do you have any additional thoughts on that?
No, just the same. I have never done this. It was a beautiful experience to see how they connect to us and how we connect to them.
So what animals were the most responsive, would you say?
I don't know, maybe the giraffes?
They did come over. They were very interested.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely the giraffes. But I think at every stop, I think each one had their favorite piece. Like I think at the beginning we were playing this harmonically complicated music, and then we were like, you know what? Let's just simplify. Let's do Twinkle Twinkle, and that's when all the apes came, right?
Yep.
And then with the gibbons, we started playing. I think they're the ones that probably enjoyed the Beethoven more.
Yes.
They started singing along, and they were just like. I also had never heard that, right? And you almost feel that vibration because it's so loud. And so I was telling you know what, let's just go to the end. We were cutting it off with all the other animals, but with them, because they were so responsive, we just kept playing. And but it's really interesting to see how each composer speaks to each animal the same way that it does to each human.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I thought it was interesting, too, because like you said, even with the humans that we were all there, we all had our different favorite pieces. We all had things that we liked. I had never heard that Beethoven piece before, and I was so moved by it. It's so beautiful. I was really excited that you extended it with the gibbons, because I had pileated gibbons singing along to Beethoven. Who knew? Yeah, awesome. Well, it's been such a pleasure hanging out today and running sound for you guys and helping move your gear.
Thank you for doing that.
I'm weirdly one of the few people in the world who kind of gets both sides of this, so it was nice that I was here. It's honestly been such a joy talking to you both, though, and hanging out today. Your music is beautiful.
Thank you so much, and we hope you, if your listeners live in Brownsville, if they come hear the Valley Symphony Orchestra this Saturday, we have a concert February 8th. We're playing some Bernstein, Schubert, Gershwin, so lots of different composers for everyone also to try out to see what it is they like, right?
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This, by the way, is the Beethoven piece that I was talking about, and as you can hear, the gibbons were singing along there and continue to at different times, which is just really incredible. One of the most interesting things was the absolute interest one of the male giraffes showed in the music. It was particularly surprising he was so interested because there was actually a female giraffe who was trying to flirt with him and get his attention. She kept coming over, trying to get him to pay attention to her, then showing signs of frustration when he ignored her. Then she would come back, listen with him for a bit, then try to get him to be amorous again. But he was just enraptured by the music. And one of the other incredible things was how excited the gibbons were about the music. Not just singing along, which was the male pileated gibbon that was doing that, but there was also a white-cheeked gibbon who just stared intently, barely moving. She was listening so hard for the entire time the ladies played in that area. And even though the female pileated gibbon didn't sing along, she was just enraptured, just having the best time, and it was so cool to see. By the way, in case you didn't see it, I did post a video of the giraffe being so just amazingly excited by the entire thing, and it's really cool. So I hope you check that out if you have the chance to. It's on all of the socials. And, speaking of animal behavior, the musicians and the PR team at the zoo aren't super well-versed in animal behavior, but the zoo, of course, wanted to make sure it was a positive experience for the animals, as well as a learning experience for the zoo. That's why Patty Scanlon, the welfare coordinator of the zoo, was along for the ride, interpreting the animal behavior and making sure they were always safe and felt comfortable and were content with what was going down. She also took the time to talk to the musicians and explain what they were seeing, which gave Linda and Raquel a deeper appreciation for the effect that their music was having on the animals, which I just thought was insanely beautiful. In fact, at a few of the habitats, she had me start the speaker volume super low, like all the way down, and then slowly turn it up while observing the behavior of the animals to make sure they weren't scared or uncomfortable, especially some of the animals that, were more likely to maybe run away or whatever. As always, I love the level of care and passion that goes into everything that takes place at these incredible facilities. By moving around the zoo, we were able to have the ladies play for a bunch of different animals. We started off with giraffe, but addicts were also able to hear, as were bongos and the lion that lives in the area. Then I lied. We started off with gorillas. Forgot about that, the whole start of it. Then we moved to giraffe, and then we moved to orangutan, and then gibbons, and we even had the ladies play for some cassowaries. And one of the cool things was, even when we were playing for just the animals right around, you could see animals in other habitats were still hearing what was going on and were, curious and interested and reacting. So yeah, there was, we also played for chimps. I'm bad at remembering things, but that's okay. So yeah, there was a whole lot going on, and we would load up the golf cart between each little session with everything and move on, and it was just a really cool, really fun experience. I love this kind of stuff so much. And so what I want to do is just end this segment with a kind of funny story. So, drummers have a reputation in music where we have to have the last word. And what that means musically is that a lot of times, a song will end and everyone will hit that last note together. And then the drummer will go vroom. It's something we do. I can't explain it. It is a base biological urge that you have if you are a drummer. And it turns out that apparently is something that also exists in the animal kingdom because, I'm just going to let this music tell you the story itself. Enjoy.
Perfect ending to that.
Yes, that's fabulous.
All right. And so with all of that, we've got time for a couple of zoo news stories and then a couple of conservation news stories. But obviously lots of the things that y'all sent me are going to be up for next week because, that was a whole lot of stuff going on. But we love those deep dives, don't we? So, getting to our other zoo news stories. Congratulations are in order for Lisa Daybeck of Woodland Park Zoo. Lisa has been named a 2025 DeHaan finalist for the world's leading animal conservation award, the Indianapolis Prize. She is in consideration for the award thanks to her decades of work with tree kangaroos. Dr. Daybeck is the senior conservation scientist at the zoo and is the founder of the Tree Kangaroo Conservation Program in Papua New Guinea. She's also the leader of the Safe Tree Kangaroo Program through the AZA, and honestly, just someone I've admired for a really long time. The award is only given out every other year, and to even be a finalist for the award is a huge accomplishment. Congrats to Dr. Daybeck, and here's hoping she brings home the gold. Or whatever equivalent thing you say to someone who is up for a really impressive conservation award. The Toledo Zoo is the latest zoo to launch its own podcast. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and features interviews with guests both from the zoo and from outside it. Check it out after you listen to Rossifari, and only after you listen to Rossifari. Got it? But joking aside, I'm actually glad another facility has decided to use the podcast format to inform, entertain, and be transparent. And then last but not least in zoo news, yet again, the Oakland Zoo has taken in orphaned mountain lion cubs that were found struggling in the wild. This time, there are 3 cubs that have been taken to the vet hospital at the zoo. I don't have an update on the status of these animals at this time, but I continue to be absolutely blown away by the incredible work this facility does for these beautiful animals. It's honestly just breathtaking. So congratulations to the Oakland Zoo for being amazing with this. And thank you to the team there for all of the just incredible work being done to save the species there. And that brings us to Conservation News Time. Oh, yeah. The Trump administration has undone historic protections for our oceans, opening up the coasts of the United States to unprecedented threats for new oil and gas drilling and all of the ecological damage that comes with that, including increases in the threat of oil spills. He has brought back his previous motto of drill, baby, drill, and it is my guess that this will be just the first of many steps he takes to destroy our shores in the name of helping energy companies profit. And y'all, I know, I go back and forth on how political to be in this, but this is a scary time for the things the administration is doing to undo really important stuff that deals with the animals and the planet we live on, honestly, is just terrifying. And I have more stuff it's not going to make it in this week, but that we will talk about upcoming. And it's just really, really scary, y'all. Sorry to be a downer, but the good news is, no, wait, this is not good. But it's not just the federal government that is making disastrous conservation legislation right now. The state government of Alaska passed Proposal 75 recently, which allows the Alaska Department of Fish and Game to hunt predators from helicopters in order to control predator populations, with the stated goal being to increase the number of moose available for hunters. Yep, killing predators so humans can kill more moose. It's like the circle of life, except it's not a circle and doesn't support life. It's like the parallelogram of death or something. Anyway, it is estimated that this ruling will wipe out 70 to 80% of the wolves in the covered area, along with 60% of the brown bears and 60 to 80% of black bears there. And this legislation passed despite the fact that decades of research show that these predator control programs don't help hunters harvest more moose. The plan was written based on outdated science and also was passed without public input. The ruling wasn't even given serious thought or discussion, instead being treated merely as a housekeeping issue. The entire debate, if you can call it that, from first reading to final vote was under 15 minutes. And in those 15 minutes, the lives of hundreds, if not thousands, of incredibly special animals were made terribly worse. All so people can have more fun hunting moose. On a happier note, we have yet another 2 rediscoveries this week. The Amaltemi cottontail rabbit, which has not been seen in 120 years, has been rediscovered in its habitat in the Sierra Madre del Sur mountains of Mexico. This is a really unique-looking cottontail, as it has small ears and short black tails, as opposed to the usual large, fluffy white tails of most cottontails. While the species had been lost to science, it turns out local indigenous populations knew where some of the rabbits were located, and actually helped scientists with the rediscovery, which is a great reminder of the role indigenous populations play in conservation science. And going along with that, the Thackeray Wildlife Foundation has announced the rediscovery of a Channa amphibius, commonly known as the Chell snakehead. This fish species was last recorded over 80 years ago, leading some experts to declare the species extinct. This incredibly beautiful fish being rediscovered is a huge deal, but it will take serious conservation efforts to bring it back to the point where it can be seen regularly. And if you're wondering about the rash of rediscoveries lately, check out last week's Zoo News episode, in which I did a bit of a deep dive on why this is such a frequent thing and why I believe that it is a trend that is going to continue for a while. And keeping up with the good news for a bit, the Conservation Fund has been able to protect numerous areas of land in California recently. These lands serve as wildlife linkages for mountain lions and other species living within the Santa Cruz Mountains in the state, with the eventual goal being to build a wildlife bridge over Highway 101 in the mountains to further connect the lands these animals can safely traverse without the risk of getting run over. So that is really, really exciting news for the animals in California. And there has been some debate recently about the number of species of giraffe out there. But new research done by our friends at the Giraffe Conservation Foundation has confirmed that there are 4 species of giraffe. The study looked at giraffe skull morphology, which apparently is not what turns them into Power Rangers. But when it became Morphin time, when the study was completed, there was enough evidence to conclude fully that there are 4 unique species of giraffe. And this is hugely important, not just for our knowledge, but because we need to know how many species there are to fully understand how many of each species exists in order to make conservation decisions about the species and to ensure that each species has the proper conservation status assigned to it. So very cool that this morphology study was done and that we now can put that debate to rest.
Oh, animal holidays. Animal holidays. Hey!
All right, it is still February, which is still Adopt a Rescue Rabbit Month, still International Hoof Care Month, still National Bird Feeding Month, and still Fishing Cat February. And then moving on to our individual days, today is Friday, February 7th, which is Reverse the Red Day, which could also just be called Der Day, since that's what red is when you reverse it. No? Okay. I guess that's not what it's for. The 9th is Superb Owl Sunday, because get it, it's Super Bowl Sunday, but it's also a great day to celebrate owls because letters. And then the 13th is Love Hornbills Day. But really for me, that's all days because hornbills are awesome and I love them. And those are your animal holidays for the week. All right, so there you have it, folks. It was really exciting having Dan on as well as having Linda and Raquel and their music on. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of Rossifari Zoo News. I'd like to take a moment to say thank you to my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Schenk, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, Jenny Owens, Kevin Williams, and also here for the stickers. And I'd also like to say thank you to everyone who contributed this week, including Anya Keene, Colleen Lenahan, Kim Cooley-Croninger, Carrie Kirkpatrick, Kevin Williams, Emily Rockbook, Marianne Rossi, Barbara Bennett, Strix, Dr. Laura Shank, Jacob Zinn, Rowena White, April Taylor, Jay Meredith, Ali Malensky, Kay Malensky, The Malenskys, Dr. Natalie Taco, Crystal Chapman, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Dr. Zoe Rossi, and Christopher Gross. Thank you all so much for contributing this week. We'll be back on Tuesday with a really cool episode. I'm really excited to share this one with y'all. And until then, remember, friends, the words Newsy Credits backwards are Steider Kiswen. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo. Finalist for an award for the, oh my gosh,